Hello, everybody. Mr. Hinnon here for the weekly Henstitute newsletter. So I thought I would just kind of run through some simple parts of this newsletter and see what we can come up with. So the first thing I pointed out is today, March 14th, is actually designated as Pi Day because it's 314. So I enjoy doing that. I enjoy eating some pie. Also, it's this weekend was spring forward time. It's the beginning of daylight savings time, so we spring forward. We gain an hour or we lose an hour of sleep, basically, as we move into next week. So hopefully everybody did that springing. The last thing I like to point out is the fact that today is actually the anniversary of the birth of Albert Einstein. I like to point that out because he has always been an influence on me, why I studied physics, and I think he's actually a good role model for other people. The way he persevered throughout his life to make sure that he could provide for his family and eventually learn as much as possible and put down his thoughts as well as the thoughts of the people he worked with is just amazing. So if you ever have a chance, learn a little bit about Albert Einstein, and I think you will be very impressed, besides the fact that most people know the amazing things that he did. The next thing that I put in here, which I thought was kind of neat, is I decided to ask my students about what they thought we had done well and what we had done poorly at Belleville East 1 year later. Now that we've had COVID, kind of changed the format of teaching and everything, what has happened well and stuff like that. The first thing they were supposed to do is just kind of rank Belleville East on a scale of 1 to 4, or 1 to 5, where 5 is they're doing awesome and 1 is we're doing horribly. And I was happy to see majority of the students that participated in it said we're a 4 out of 5. So I think that's very good. We're doing our best to emphasize wearing of the masks. Every day we're sanitizing, we're cleaning. We set up pathways so that we could keep the social distance and try to keep students separated. So I think those things actually help. I was happy to see the fully remote people chime in. And one of the things they said was actually something that I have thought about throughout this school year. It would have been nice at the beginning if we had designated set days during the week that the remote students had to check in, because I think they lose that kind of contact with the teachers and the other students being home all the time and trying to keep that schedule. So I thought that was kind of neat to actually hear that from the students. My constructive feedback is just a repeat of before. We spent this week kind of preparing for the test for AP Physics 1, and so I thought it was good to kind of remind ourselves how good Google Meet allows me to contact people that aren't at school. But even if they are at school, I like to be able to record, and then I can put that out for other students or for the students to rewatch. We were doing that with problems this week that I went through all the problems. So if students has questions, they can actually go back and rewatch it and remind themselves, something we never used to think about with teaching before. So with that in mind, Physics 1 is going to be testing this week over Unit 4 or Chapter 6, and then starting in on the idea of momentum. They're also going to get a little project that's going to be due a couple weeks later. Physics 2 is going to be jumping straight into magnetism, so we're going to be dealing with that and talking about the equations and how those are applied, especially with the thing called the right-hand rule when you talk about magnetism. So I thought this little picture of a horseshoe magnet was nice. And then my kids actually kind of influenced me on the encouragement thing. They're learning a little bit about Teddy Roosevelt and a famous speech he gave after he left presidential office. And so I thought that I listened to this speech and I listened to the students talk about it. So I thought that it was kind of a neat one. So I found somebody that actually recites the whole speech, but there's one major part that starts out, it's not the critic who counts. So I thought that one was kind of a neat one, something to kind of think about during this time that you have to take your success as well as your failures, and they are what make you the person that you are. So hope you enjoyed this Henstitute newsletter and have another great week.